Hey there everybody, it's Mark Crowley. I'm back with another video. Before we get started, I want to explain what it is you're looking at. This is a sketchbook that I brought with me to Taiwan many years ago when I was an English teacher over there. And I used to go from place to place with this sketchbook and an ink pen and do these sort of ink sketches, illustrations, as I went around Taiwan. And I thought I would use this as my sort of visual thing for this video, give you something to look at as I respond to some of the comments that I had earlier this week on the topic of discussion, which is comparing your artwork to the artwork of other artists. Now, the first comment that I'm going to read sums up something that happened in the comment section that revealed to me that maybe people had a different idea of what I meant when I talked about comparing the artwork. This first one comes from Who Ate My Cream Puff? And the comment is this: I compare all the time to help me. I notice how they draw hair or hands and other things I'm struggling on, and try it that way for more practice. Now, I saw a lot of people leaving comments like this, and really I just wanted to point out that that's not exactly what I'm talking about here. Simply looking at other people's artwork and learning from them, I think, is a wonderful thing, and in a way, I don't know if there's much of a conversation to have about that. I think we can all agree that it's great to learn from other artists. I'm talking about a different type of comparison, and this next comment here I think will sum it up pretty well. It comes from Carlota Nanep, and the quote is this: I do compare myself. I always ask myself, is it even worth it to continue what I'm doing if she's the best there is? I had thought of giving up a lot of times, but in the end I told myself I will surpass her and be better. Now, I like this comment because it really sums up both sides of what it is that I'm talking about here in terms of comparing your artwork. It has the sort of demoralizing aspect of looking at someone else's artwork that is much better than yours and kind of feeling, is it even, what's the point? Should I even continue drawing if this other person's so much better? And it shows that for some people, seeing artwork that is superior to their own can be so demoralizing that they almost just want to stop drawing. I see comments like that sometimes on my own videos. It's like, that's it! I'm going to throw my sketchbook out the window. I'm done, because I'll never be able to draw like Mark Crowley does. You know, so I see that kind of effect that comparing your artwork to someone else can have. But interestingly, at the end of Carlota's comment is a sort of flip side where the person says, in the end I told myself I will surpass her and be better. And this is where this sort of competitive aspect comes in, where they set a goal for themselves of surpassing this other artist. And I think that's an interesting concept. I don't look at artwork that way myself. I don't have a goal of surpassing other people. But some people do, and it can be maybe part of their process of improving. And we're going to see some other comments later in the video that get to that kind of concept. But give me a moment. I'm going to grab another comment, and we will continue and see what that person has to say. Okay, so I have a pair of comments here, two different comments that I think really give the contrasting attitudes about comparing your artwork to other people. And these are these kind of flat, strong statements that define the two opposing points of view. This first one comes from Jason Smith, who says, you can't really evolve your artwork if you don't compare yourself to other artists. So Jason is kind of saying, not only do I, myself, make these comparisons, I think you have to. I think all artists have to make these comparisons in order to evolve. And if I'm reading Jason's comment properly, it does seem to say that this that he regards the comparison process as essential to anyone's growth as an artist. And, you know, that's interesting. Again, it depends on what you mean by compare. If it's simply looking and learning from other people's artwork, I would agree with that. If it is more this sort of comparing and rendering judgment on your own work, and saying, wow, my artwork is not good compared to someone else's artwork, I don't know if I would agree that that is going to be necessary for everyone in terms of growth as an artist. But one of the interesting things about this video is I'm not going to necessarily agree with every comment that I include. I sort of just want to bring in all the different points of view and see what people have to say. Now, here's the opposite blanket statement here, coming from September Meadows, and the comment is this: there is no such point. I'm sorry, let me read that again. There is no point in such thinking. Comparison is the thief of joy. And that quote, that second line there, comparison is the thief of joy. I believe that originated with Theodore Roosevelt, the president, and it is sort of an interesting way of summing up the opposing viewpoint on comparisons. And this may come back to this, what we call keeping up with the Joneses. You know, if you compare your house to the house of the person next door, and they have a better house, and you start feeling terrible about your life, yes, I think that is, I think we can all agree, that type of comparison is indeed the thief of joy. If you can just stop comparing? If you can stop comparing what you have to that of other people, you probably will enjoy life more. And so, yeah, applying that point of view to the art creation process, you may come to this complete opposite point of view and say, no, you should never compare your artwork to the artwork of other people, because it'll make you feel bad about yourself as an artist. So then it's interesting to see these two drastically different viewpoints, and I'm not sure I can say if I agree with either of them in terms of being, pretty extreme in terms of either saying you need to compare or you need to avoid ever comparing. I'm probably somewhere more in the middle between the two extremes. Give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and get a couple of more comments to read to you. All right, so these next two comments are sort of taking the competitive approach and thinking of artwork as a competition. And so let's look at this first one. It's from Zamij, and the comment is, to be honest, I'm a very lazy person. If I don't take a competitive approach in the things I do, I'd never get anything done. So that's interesting, that if you have a sort of a competitive spirit inside you, you're sort of like, you approach it like sports almost, There are winners and there are losers, and I want to win, Maybe that's what you need, some people need, in order to improve as an artist. And they really are, very honestly looking at it almost as a competitive sport. Who is going to be the better artist? And I must fight against this other person, not necessarily fight, but I want to surpass them, and it fills them with this fire inside that causes them to work harder and get better. And again, this is not my approach, I must say. I guess I have a certain competitive spirit inside me, but I try not to really look at other people's artwork or other people as rivals, and in terms of trying to surpass them. I really don't. I feel that for me that becomes kind of a poison in my brain almost if I get obsessed with trying to win against another person. But it is interesting, as Zamij said, that for some people this can be a helpful way of regarding the whole situation. And this next one is from Bimbo6345, and this comment sums up, sort of extends that idea. Usually I challenge my friend. He's 18, I'm 17, and we're kind of rivals in that regard. Whenever one of us gets better, we make the other want to get better to pass them and so forth, and I think that helps us grow pretty well as artists. Now this is interesting because it reminds me of sort of like John Lennon and Paul McCartney back in the Beatles days. They were friends, they were collaborators, but there was probably a certain rivalry there, of Paul saying, boy, John really wrote a great song there. I got to step up my game and make sure that my songs on the next album are as good or better than his, right? So there is this idea of the rivalry, of the creative rivalry, and probably looking back throughout history, we can find painters and sculptors and so forth who engaged in that kind of thing. And they would stand back at the end of their careers and say, it was helpful to have that rival there spurring me onward. So that's sort of interesting, and I think there is probably, unless they get carried away with it and it becomes a destructive rivalry, in most cases, it seems like a positive thing to have a sort of friendly, competitive rivalry going on. So I thought that was interesting to look at it from that point of view. Again, let me take a break here, and I'm going to find a couple of more comments to read. Okay, this next comment is interesting because it comes from the point of view of the person whose art is being used as a comparison. And the comment comes from Cloudy Kumo. I don't like it when people compare their work to mine and say stuff like, "Why is yours so good? Mine sucks." It just makes me feel bad and guilty somehow. So yes, that is certainly something that happens when you are the person who is being used as the rival, I suppose, or the person whose artwork gives another person a feeling of despair in terms of feeling that they can't reach what your level, or as a creator of videos on YouTube, I certainly am seeing a fair number of these comments. And I always want to say, first of all, I'm a lot older than most of you out there. Don't compare your present artwork to my present artwork, but don't even compare it to the work that I was doing at your age. And maybe that's why I came around to doing this video, and I thought this topic was interesting, because this whole aspect of how I see comments like that, how comparison of your artwork to someone else's artwork, namely mine, can set you back as an artist and make you feel bad and ruin your experience of enjoying the art creation process. And I think definitely if that's what's happening, maybe we do need to dial back this instinct for comparing one person's artwork to another's artwork, especially if it's causing you to just give up and stop. That just seems wrong to me. It's not a race. It's not a competition. You're just trying to do your best, right? And especially if you enjoy drawing, don't let the feeling that someone else's artwork is better cause you to just stop and give up. That just seems wrong to me, and I sincerely hope that my videos have not caused anyone to do that. I have to feel that if someone gives up simply because they feel that my artwork is better than theirs, that I wonder how committed they were to improving their artwork to begin with. But in any case, it is something that troubles me when I see comments like that, and I hope that people will not allow their, critical of feeling towards their own work in comparison to mine to cause them to stop drawing, or, to feel bad about themselves as artists. This next one is from Butterkeck5. I find myself very often comparing to you, especially when I'm watching videos in which you show older artworks of yours. But for me, it's motivating. So maybe a little self-serving that I selected this quotation here, but I did want to say that at least for some people out there, I do see these comments that, looking at the artwork that I did in elementary school and thinking, boy, it's within my reach to catch up with him, or to be feeling inspired as a result of those videos. That's really my goal. Honestly, guys, I'm not out here to cause anyone to feel bad about their artwork in comparison to mine. I really do sincerely hope that my videos are inspiring people in this regard, and I'm glad that for Butterkeck5 at least, they did find it more motivating than demoralizing. Give me a moment and I'll find a couple of more quotes. This one is kind of funny. It's from Nothing Better to Do. The comment is, I compare selectively. All my friends draw like semi-drunk ape children, so they give me confidence. So, yes, I suppose if you go out of your way to compare your work to people that you regard as inferior to you as artists, then of course that makes you feel better. But to take this maybe a bit more seriously than they intended, I don't know if that's any better, frankly, if you are propping yourself up by comparing your artwork to people that you think are not as good as you. I gotta say, I feel uneasy about this whole process of doing a one-to-one comparison of one person's artwork to another's. It isn't a football game. It's not about winning and losing. It's just about doing your best, it seems to me. And especially if you enjoy doing it, you shouldn't let anything get in the way of you doing something that you love. So in the end, I do fall on one side of these two camps, and that is towards maybe being suspicious of the value of comparing your artwork to other people in a competitive way. Certainly I don't have that instinct myself. But yeah, see, if you are surrounded by semi-drunk ape children, maybe that will make you feel better as an artist, as it did for Nothing Better to Do in that previous comment. Let's move on to the next one. And I like this one because this seems sort of balanced and honest. From Alisa Ravskaya, I hope I'm saying that right. The comment is, "Of course I try not to. It gets me nowhere. It may be good to get inspiration, ideas, maybe learn something from other people's art, but certainly not to get jealous. Unfortunately, this is what happens to me when I see brilliant art." So yeah, Alisa here I think is really being quite honest about saying, I try not to compare myself to other people, and that it may cause her to get jealous, and that can really set things back for you as an artist if you are filled with jealousy when you see someone's work that is superior to your own. And this idea of being envious or jealous of other people, I think really is at the heart of my problem with the comparison approach. Interestingly, though, the very next comment that I found includes the word jealousy, but in kind of a positive way. And this comment is from Mung Queen. Comment is short and sweet, but it goes like this. "Yes, there are few motivators as powerful as jealousy." So there you have someone who really is saying, jealousy is motivating me. I'm envious of this other person's work. I want to become as good as they are, and that's why I am hustling to improve myself. So again, we maybe get a little bit back to this rivalry thing, but by including the word jealousy, I think it becomes a slightly different thing, this idea of enviousness or being jealous of someone else's abilities. This person says that it doesn't set them back, it actually motivates them. So interesting to hear, even in the comment section of this video, I'll see how many people agree with that attitude. Well, we are down now to the final quote, and I do apologize. Some people are always like, "You didn't use my comment." Well, there were like 3,000 comments to choose from, folks, and I felt I had to narrow it down to around 12, which I've done. And this is possibly my favorite out of all these quotes. Quote number 12 comes from Tis Worth. And the comment is, "It feels good to think you're better than someone, but it feels great if that someone is yourself." And I love that quote. That really brings it to my attitude when it comes to comparison. The person I want to be comparing myself is to me, to my artwork from last year or 2 or 3 years ago. Am I getting better than the me of 3 years ago? That's the healthy comparison. I think if you are in a competition, it's with yourself from before. And of course, that could be demoralizing if you see artwork that you did 5 years ago and you think it's actually better than what you're doing now. But, go back and sort of learn from that and see what it was that you were doing back then that was so good. So I suppose not to take sides too much, but certainly that is a kind of competition that I think is healthy and good. And maybe I would, to take it back to that initial quote, I would say that is necessary to your evolution as an artist. You should be looking at your earlier work, comparing it to what you're doing now. And if you are not improving, maybe go back to what you were doing before and see what it was that you lost somewhere along the way. Well, I think we have finally come to the end of this video, and what I'm going to do is sort of put a bookmark maybe here. I'll go ahead and bring out a Post-it, and we can continue in a future video if any of you are interested in continuing to look at my sketchbooks from Taiwan. There are many more pages that I could share with you. But I suppose it is time for me to do the inevitable. Yes, that's right. Bring out my books and say thank you to anyone who has helped me by getting any of my graphic novel series, Miki Falls or Brody's Ghost, or my How to Draw books, Mastering Manga and Mastering Manga 2, of course, I do greatly appreciate the support of those who help me out by getting any of those books. But let's go ahead and wind down this video. Thanks so much for watching it. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back with another one real soon.